Hello, I'm John. Welcome to my channel, Disquiet and Dragons. Today I'm going to be talking about some of my favourite books that not only are gory and a bit creepy, but they're also really good fun. This is about fun horror stories. The first book I want to talk about today is Animal Kingdom by Ian Rob Wright. In this book, it's about Joe and his son Danny, and they've gone to the zoo for a fun father-son day out. And they're going around the zoo, enjoying their day out. And they go into the reptile house, and they see one of the zoo's employees handling this python. And they're enjoying it. They're seeing they're learning about all the snakes. And then the snake starts to slowly wind round the zookeeper and slowly constricts him and kills him in front of all the guests. Everyone is obviously shocked by this horrific accident, and they leave the reptile house only to find utter carnage. Lions have got out, wolves have got out, all the animals are attacking the first people they can see. But the scary thing is, it seems like all the animals are working together to attack the humans. The book continues on, and it's basically a fight for survival for Joe and his son Danny. It's just a really fast-paced, good fun animal attack book. I can highly recommend Animal Kingdom by Ian Rob Wright. The next book I'd like to talk about is The Roo by Alan Baxter. A couple of years ago on Twitter, a news story was doing the rounds about a giant muscle-bound kangaroo attacking a small town in the Australian outback. And it's a true story. If you Google it, you'll find a news article. And people are making fun of it and talking about it. And eventually, an artist who does art covers for various books did a mock-up of this demonic kangaroo, like staring straight at you. And people were saying, "Oh, someone should write a book about this or write a story." And Alan Baxter, being Australian, he kind of took the challenge upon himself and said, "If I can have this artwork, I will write you a story." And apparently everyone who was in that Twitter discussion is actually a character in the book, The Roo, it's a really cool little twist. Anyway, I'll read you the synopsis for this book. Something is wrong in the small outback town of Morgan Creek. A farmer goes missing after a blue in the pub. A teenage couple fail to show up for work. When Patrick and Sheila McDonough investigate, they discover the missing persons list is growing. Before they realise what's happening, the residents of the remote town find themselves in a fight for their lives against a foe they would never have suspected, and the dry red earth will run with blood. This book, The Roo, it's another creature feature, animal attack story. You can probably read it in an evening. It's more of a novella than a full-size novel, but it is such good fun. The kills are many. They're completely over the top. There's one of my favourite kills in it is the kangaroo hops up to a guy, grabs him by the head and squishes his head like a watermelon. The characters, although don't get too attached to them all, they're really good fun and likeable mostly. There are a couple of quite nasty characters, but they get their comeuppance. But as fun as the story is, it does have some interesting themes about isolation, and it does go into domestic violence in places. So if that's something that bothers you, check the content warnings. But if you want to read a short story about a kangaroo running rampage in the outback, The Roo by Alan Baxter is probably for you, and a thoroughly good read. And I can't really talk about fun horror books without the fantastic Grady Hendrix, and one of my favourites is My Best Friend's Exorcism. This book, I read it last year, and Grady Hendrix, I don't think many authors balance being funny and horror quite as well as he does. He just seems, one minute you're laughing and it seems quite light-hearted, and the next minute he just hits you with something that's really quite dark. Anyway, I'll just read you the synopsis for this book. High school sophomores Abby and Gretchen have been best friends since 4th grade, but after an evening of skinny dipping goes disastrously wrong, Gretchen begins to act different. She's moody, she's irritable, and bizarre incidents keep happening whenever she's nearby. Abby's investigation leads her to some startling discoveries, and by the time their story reaches its terrifying conclusion, the fate of Abby and Gretchen will be determined by a single question: is their friendship powerful enough to beat the devil? This story, it's just wonderful. If you grew up in the 80s, you'll see so many like pop culture references and music references, and it's the story of Abby and Gretchen's friendship. Apart from possibly Stephen King in It, I think it's one of the best descriptions and depictions of a friendship that I've read. It's just perfect the way that Grady Hendrix describes their friendship, the ups and downs of the friendship. Everyone knows that friendships will go up and down when you're at school, but it's just thoroughly enjoyable, and it really, despite it sometimes it can go quite dark in places, it's just a really, really good fun read, and absolutely one of my favourite authors. Brilliant book, well worth reading. And lastly, as a little bonus, as it's only really a short story, is some sock puppet erotica for you. A Puppet Scorned by Jamie Court. This is quite possibly one of the weirdest stories I've ever read. I'll just read the synopsis for you. Camille and Brad are sock puppets trapped in a dusty old attic. One day they find needles, and Brad teaches Camille how to knit sensuous and arousing patterns. But what begins as a journey of sexual awakening leads to the unravelling of Camille's perfect world in a strangely twisted nightmare of obsession and betrayal. I bought this one on Kindle. It was about 80p. And if you just want a short, quick read that's weird and fun, and again, just weird, it's well worth picking up. And yeah, it's a pretty fun read and well worth having a look at. Well, those are some of my favourite fun horror novels. If you've read any of them, I'd love you to tell me what you thought about them in the comments section. I'd just like to take a minute to also thank everyone that's watched any of my videos, and thank you for all of the subscriptions in the last week. It's really appreciated. I'd also like to say thank you to Cliff at Cliff Start Gems, who gave me a shout out last week. Really do appreciate it, and he's got a wonderful channel also. If you want to check his channel out, I'll put it in the description below. As always, I hope you're enjoying what you're reading. I'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye.